Take notes.
Let's see. All right, can everybody see the screen? Okay, so this was attached to the meeting invite, so you guys should have a copy. Basically, it brings a lot of the information that was in the 2016 plan out, just so we can help update the overall picture of how the county is looking, and also get some data and updates on hazards so that we can do the risk assessment. Table of contents. So basically what this includes, we have community profile information. This is like development trends. So where we'll get some of the GIS data, any updates on transportation infrastructure, basic things like that. And then we will go into the capability assessment. This is more about how the county staff is set up, their ability to handle some of the hazards that may arise, get into current mitigation efforts, any other plans like an emergency operations plan, comprehensive plan, things like that exist. And then we will finish out with an overview of the hazard ranking from the 2016 plan, as well as the mitigation strategies that Scott mentioned, and that's when we'll bring up the Excel sheet. All right, so the first part in the community profile section, development trends. So here we're really looking for any updates on any new building that's occurring, especially if it's occurring in a floodplain, if there's been any major demolitions or basically just changes to the county or the towns overall. You guys have any updates here?
We don't have any new buildings or anything. The county does not. What is y'all's water treatment plant in a flood zone or not?
Not the water treatment.
I mean,
wastewater treatment.
What upgrades did y'all do to that?
We haven't done any. I mean, we're working on it now. We're doing about $2.5 million upgrade.
Okay, I knew you.
Because we were, we just at the beginning of it.
Oh, okay.
So we have really gotten into it yet. So.
I just let them know that there's no updates to.
Yeah, there's no updates.
So I take it development's been pretty slow in the last 5 years?
No. We're doing an update at the wastewater treatment plant now. We're getting started on it, but the water treatment and so forth, we haven't done any updates on anything since 2016.
Okay. How about like residential and commercial? Has there been a lot of new development, or has it been pretty quiet?
Been pretty quiet. Yeah, it's nothing.
Nothing major.
Yeah, not a lot of new buildings or anything. I don't know of any new buildings.
We got some new residential, but just
Yeah.
I think we're pretty average on that. It's not been an influx with residential building.
Okay.
When y'all move into y'all's new firehouse?
Yeah, well, we moved into that, but that building was existing. So, I mean, would you count that as being rehab for a fire department? Or how would that work? Because like I say, it's already an existing building. And it wasn't but 10 years old when we got it. So.
The Town of Stewart Fire Department bought a food line building and converted it into their firehouse. Is that something that needs to show or not show?
We can make note of it. I'm sorry, I didn't catch it all. They converted a what to a fire department?
It was a food line building into their firehouse, and on the left-hand side of it, our college has rented out space there for classes in it.
Okay. Is that any of that in the floodplain? Do you know?
No, it's not in the floodplain.
No.
Okay.
And were any of the, you said that there was some normal residential development. Was any of that in the floodplain?
No, not that I'm aware of.
All right.
All right.
All right, so we can move on. Critical facilities. So this table, it's more of just the basic one that FEMA provides. So it's just basically giving you a tally of any critical facilities, such as fire and rescue, government buildings, schools, things like that. So if you've had any decommissions or any new buildings, I remember you said that you converted a building into fire and rescue. But if you have any other updates to critical facilities, you can take those.
Anything else? Do you think of anything at all, Terry, that's the only one that I can think of?
So when they converted that building into a firehouse in Stewart, was that to add a firehouse or to replace an older one?
They replaced an older one.
Okay.
They had actually run out of room at the old firehouse, and so they purchased the food line building and modified the front of it for the fire engines to get in and out.
All right. Do all of your critical facilities, or what you all consider critical facilities, include, do they all have generators now? Or
No, they do not. I know Stewart Fire is looking at getting a generator. Smith River Rescue Squad is in the process of getting a transfer switch for one of our portable generators to go there.
okay, I'm sorry. What was I caught the Stewart Fire Department, but I didn't
And
catch
the other one was Smith River Rescue's putting in a transfer switch for one of our portable generators.
any other ones in particular that you believe should have one that just haven't been gotten to yet?
Jeb Stewart Rescue Squad, I'm not sure where their status is right now. That would be another place that we have a shelter at.
All right. If there's nothing else you think we need to know about these, we can move on.
You had mentioned that you said, was there another building that you said was having local college classes or something of that sort?
Same building.
The
Same building
Stewart
as the
Fire
firehouse.
Department, the Lowe's, or the food line building was big enough that the fire department took the right-hand side of it, and they're leasing out the left-hand side of it to Patrick Henry Community College for classes over there.
All right. All right, so the next category is going to be any updates to any GIS data that you guys have.
I'll speak to that. One of the things, I don't necessarily think we have any updates from 2016. I will double check on that and get back with you if in fact there has been. But I will tell you that we have put in the budget for this fiscal year up and coming 22 for an overlay of our water and sewer line infrastructure in the Patrick Springs area and on the west end as well. So we are requesting that that piece be updated in our GIS, but again, that will be contingent upon the board's approval of the budget request.
And you said that was Patrick Springs and western part of the county?
The west end, which encompasses all the way to W&W, that area
Yes.
there. Mhm.
It's the west end of the town of Stewart,
Right.
right outside the town boundaries there on the west end of Stewart.
How about tax parcels or building footprints or any reevaluations?
I would have to check with tax mapping to see, and I can get back with you on an update on that, okay?
Right. Okay.
Right. So now we just want to get an idea of any hazard events that have come up since the 2016 plan. We already have Michael and Florence covered. Any smaller local events, any winter storms or local flooding events that have caused some issues, and then also if you've received any money for those from FEMA.
We've had some localized flooding, but as far as FEMA money, I do not remember any going out to, I know the county, to my knowledge, didn't receive any, and I don't think any of the residents received any because it wasn't enough damage done.
All right. Is that true
There's no
of
infection
Michael?
area, there was someone over there.
Would that be true of Tropical Storm Michael and Hurricane Florence as well?
Yes, I don't know of any funds that came into the county.
Okay. All right.
And was the
Well, since 2016.
Those localized flood events, do you remember what year they were in?
I can get back with that.
Jerry was talking about that the Corps of Engineers came in and done some work to the flood channel here in Stewart, and it was she says a large sum of money spent on it, but she'll get you the date and stuff like that for that.
Mhm.
That was last year, wasn't it?
It was either last year or year before last. I can't remember for sure, I didn't want
All I can tell you for last year, they ain't been that
to.
COVID.
Right, I know, yeah, for the last year, yeah, that's all we've been doing, but I think it was year prior. Mhm.
All right. That'd be great to know about.
and was the localized flooding, was that pretty well dispersed throughout, or were there certain areas that face more the brunt of it?
I'm gonna check on that flood channel stuff for you right quick, see if I can get you an update on it.
All right.
Thinking Clyde, because he got that dirt moved over to
He
him.
did, but Mark will know he's in.
Hey, Clyde, when did they clean the flood channel out? Was it last year they cleaned the flood channel? 2020? Okay, all right, thank you. It's 2020 when they cleaned out the flood channel.
Okay. And it was just like a channel dredging thing. It wasn't a rebuild or anything.
No, it was just dredging.
Okay. All right. Any major fires or earthquakes or any other tornadoes?
No major fires and tornadoes last year, in the last little bit, thank goodness.
All right. We got it covered.
Okay, I know we briefly talked about the development trends, but if you have any updates specific to transportation that you can think of? I know some of the other jurisdictions had some changes to highways and new developments going on. Is any of that affecting your county?
Well, what we call 58 or Jeff Stewart Highway going up from Stewart to Meta-Sedan, VDOT is, and branch construction is in the process of doing the core drilling to make that a 4-lane highway.
Okay. And you said that's Jeff Stewart Highway is Route 56?
58.
58. All right, thanks. All right. Any major infrastructure changes, increases to water, sewer service areas, things like that?
Y'all done any water upgrades or sewer upgrades anymore?
No. No.
So is all of Stewart serviced by public water and sewer?
Yes.
And for the remaining areas of the county that, I mean, I'm assuming a lot of it isn't, what do you use for fire suppression the most? Is it tankers or dry hydrants?
Both. We got dry hydrants and we've got designated ponds and creeks that we designated as field sites.
Okay.
And we're in the process of using active 911 mapping that when I can get time, I will enter those field sites into active 911, and when the fire departments get activated and they're coming up on those field sites, it will alert them on their phones, or they can see it on their phones that this is going to be a field site.
Okay. I'm gonna put my ignorance right on the line, but what exactly is a fill site?
Where they would get the water at.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. My brain is apparently not engaged. Yeah, got it. Will that mapping of the fill sites actually be in a GIS format?
That's something that me and Jerry's going to talk about to get added to the GIS. That would be great. I know Surrey County has it in theirs, and their dispatch center looks at the GIS and gives the fire departments their closest field point when there is a structure fire.
Great. So that's something we should, I'll put an asterisk near that in the notes, and we should make sure that that gets into the new strategy moving forward, just so it's in there and you can take credit for that the next time we do this. All right.
Okay. So now we're moving on to the capability assessment section. This part right here, I believe this is the county gave general ratings for each of these categories. Planning and regulatory capability, fiscal capability, overall capability, etc. Just ratings for how they think they're doing, L being low, medium, M being medium, and then H would be high. Do you guys still agree with these ratings? Let me know if you can't see. I can make it a little bit bigger.
Now, which paper are you looking at on the ratings now? Okay, up here, I see it. I'm calling it weed.
Yeah, this is a self-assessment. These tables come straight from the FEMA guidance. I'm not a huge fan of this one, but it was basically what they're getting at is in terms of your, how you think your own planning and regulatory capabilities are rated. Is it low, medium, or high? Like almost everybody says fiscal capability is low because everybody needs more money. political capabilities, like, is there the political will to get things done? So it's kind of a self-assessment, and this is what you gave yourself 5 years
don't
ago.
think there's been much changes to it.
Okay, and that's fine.
Okay. So now moving on to staffing and organizational capability. There was a note in the 2016 plan that you guys have 5 members on your board of supervisors. Is that still accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And then it gets into change. Then it gets into some key departments that the county has listed: building inspection, emergency management, erosion and sediment, fire and rescue, and then emergency management being the department that handles hazard mitigation developments. Is that all still true? Has there been any reorganization or additions?
Same.
Same. Okay.
Do you have a county engineering department, or do you farm that out to consultants?
We do not have a county engineering department.
Okay. All right.
Need a consultant.
Okay. So moving on to technical capability. So this is basically providing, so we have categories like land use planners, floodplain managers, GIS staff, and then the departments that they belong in. Do you see any changes here? Or is everything pretty consistent?
This is what we had last year. What? Yeah, for mine, and then what you do for.
It would be the same.
It should be the same.
Okay.
Jay, the only thing I would change in all of these, not to go off the track, but that civil or building engineers is a goofy term. I don't think people refer to them as building engineers. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but I think it's building.
Build official.
Yeah, an official or inspector is more of a building official or building inspector.
Okay, yeah.
We should change that in all of them.
Noted. Oh, sorry for the background noise. Okay, so moving on to fiscal capability. I don't know if you guys have these numbers handy. We can always grab these from you later, but if you have any information on any significant budget changes that have happened since 2016, you can go ahead and include those.
How much is your budget?
1.8
Yeah, and the county's budget's at 54 right now, 54 million. Maybe a little bit more, but of course, that's subject to change soon. Especially some of the requests we've been getting so far.
Do you think that there's been any major changes by public safety or public works or planning, or I know you don't have the numbers all handy with you, but or if this is available online, just point us to it. We can check ourselves.
It is available online. It's on the county website.
We'll check that.
Okay.
If we can't find anything, we'll reach out.
Okay, so we have financing mechanisms for Patrick County. So the 2016 plan you listed is having capital improvement programming, water sewer fees, and Scott, what is the CDBG?
Community development block grants from HUD.
Okay, gotcha.
So these are this table is asking you, are these sources of money available to you? So even if you didn't get a CDBG grant, you're eligible. So that's why it's checked off.
I think that's fine.
All same. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So moving on to the policy and program capability, current mitigation efforts in the 2016 plan. You mentioned that the county has text to 911 capabilities and that they installed, or that you installed, an alarm system, including cameras at the 3 911 tower sites. Do you have any other updates to that, plans to upgrade any of these additional cameras, anything like that?
I'm unaware, but Steve has stepped out for just a moment. He may have something to update when he steps back in.
Just when we're waiting for Steve, how about your comprehensive plan? Have there been any updates to that since 2016?
They are currently under construction with the comprehensive plan. They are working diligently with the Planning Commission, and West Piedmont is helping them, and so things are progressing along, but at this time, nothing has been approved outside of what we are currently working under.
Okay. Any idea is there a targeted completion date for that?
They were looking to try to have it completed by July was the last I was told of this year, so I'm hopeful that that will take place.
And I'm just asking questions I'm holding the ones I think Steve might answer.
Okay, he's back in the office now.
Oh,
They had a question here about, at this time, they installed an alarm system.
Yes.
Do we have any updates from 2016? Have they added any cameras, or have they done
No,
anything?
there's
Okay.
no updates.
how about the emergency operations plan? When's that last updated?
Ooh. When was it, Jerry?
I don't know if we've done one.
No, it's every 4 years.
It's supposed to be, we haven't done it in 4 years.
You'll have.
2016,
You'll have.
17, 18,
You'll
19.
have.
We did it in 19?
I want to say it's 2019.
Okay.
I'm sorry for not having that. We just been swamped with trying to get COVID pods and all this stuff set up across the county.
Yeah, that's fine. There's a lot of questions here. This is just to get started, and any gaps, we'll send you an email.
I will send you, when I get back in the office, I will send you the exact date on that. I can give you the date of it. Because when the board adopted it is the date that I put in the EOP.
Okay. Is that on the internet too, or
No, it's not on the internet.
okay. Can we get a copy of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. You know that some of the other nearby counties said that they were beginning the process of updating the maps, flood maps. Are you guys, or are you aware that this may be going on in Patrick County, or have you not heard anything?
I know that our building official who is over our floodplain management, I know he has been in conversations with folks about updating said maps. I do know that. I'm not sure where they are in the process, but I know the conversation has been started.
Email you said?
I'm sorry?
Having conversations with FEMA?
Yes.
Okay. You're probably part of the larger regional effort. They've been starting the process of updates in the other counties, and they're in what they call a discovery phase, which is
Yes.
essentially scoping, where they're trying to figure out where to spread their limited dollars. So that's probably exactly what's going on
Yes.
here too. All right. So safe to assume that your maps are still the old 2008 maps, and they're starting that process of updating now.
Yes.
And then this says it's a standalone ordinance, or as opposed to part of the zoning. I'm assuming that hasn't changed since 2016.
No.
Then once those maps are updated, you'll have to do a quick update to the ordinance to incorporate the new maps. So that may be a good time to make some other changes to it to bring it up to speed if it's not.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably make a note of that when we talk about, in the next meeting, when we talk about new mitigation strategies.
This part. Scott, did you have any other questions on the comprehensive or emergency operations plan while we're here? I know we covered a lot of it.
No, I think we captured that. And I'm sorry, I asked Jade to run this part of the meeting, and I've been doing it in the previous meeting, so I keep jumping on your toes. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Being comprehensive. Okay. So moving on to the latter end of this section, getting into the legal authority and regulation. The 2016 plan said that you guys did not have a planning department. Is that true?
We still do not have a planning department.
Oops.
Can you scroll up a bit,
Yeah.
Jade, to the table Roman numeral 6.2 technical capability matrix?
Yes.
Yeah. So in here, this said that you had land use planners in a planning department. So should that be eliminated? Do you have planners? They're just not in.
We have a planning commission. We have a
Okay.
planning commission, commissioners, but we don't actually have a separate planning department.
Got it. Okay, so we should probably just change that to planning commission.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good catch.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we discuss.
There was a
And
16.
Right.
As far as zoning goes, it says that you limit zoning to Goose Point area near Philpott Lake. Does that still stand?
Yes, we have no other zoning.
Okay. And then subdivision regulations, 2016 plan that you said you may require that drainage easements be given to address to address storm and floodwater runoff issues. Do you have anything to add to that, or just no change?
I would say no change. I don't have anything to add to that. Do you, Steve, Terry?
And some of that comes from,
Jason.
Okay.
Oh, not Jason.
Mark?
You still.
It's-
Okay.
A lot of changes.
So this next table, it's availability of ordinances and their support for hazard mitigation. So we have some letters here. So the building code has an M, so that means elements could be used to support hazard mitigation. Your floodplain management ordinance has an H, meaning it specifically includes hazard mitigation, and so on. So if you want to take a look at those categories, see if you have any changes here, if you specifically address hazard mitigation now in any of these.
I don't think there's any changes to it.
Okay.
All right.
Did you have any other questions on this, Scott?
No, I just often wonder whether the building code should be high instead of medium, because I think it probably, well, it may not specifically use the words hazard mitigation. It's got a lot of protection built in.
All right.
But
If it
leave it
needs to be
alone.
changed, I'm okay with it. You know more about what.
Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I've been having that thought in all these meetings, but I think,
I marked it to consider,
Yeah.
so it's something we can
Yeah.
look at a little bit down the road. Okay, so moving on to the hazard rankings. We did bring this up in the kickoff, and I believe some of the other jurisdictions said that they wanted to raise consideration levels for, what was it, earthquake? Was there something else?
and tornado.
Earthquake and tornado, they thought those should be a little bit higher. In 2016, tornado was listed as medium, earthquake was listed as low. So there was talk about raising those. So we have listed the 2011 consideration levels on the left, the 2016 levels in the middle, and then for comparison, the state of Virginia or the Commonwealth of Virginia rankings on the right. So if you see any categories that you think should be lower or higher, you can go ahead and take those down, take those into consideration.
And the thought process on this too, just so it doesn't mean that a tornado would cause only limited or medium damage. For example, what it's looking at is the probability of it occurring, what percentage of the county it would impact. So it's all these are sort of relative, and this ranking is not necessarily ranking the hazard itself, but it's ranking the level of detailed consideration it gets in the plan. So all it's saying is that winter storms and flooding and wind will probably get more emphasis than than earthquake and landslide, for example. And the thought with tornado by the larger mitigation advisory committee is that with these increases in these crazy little high intensity storms, they're spawning more tornado activities. So that one, the probability is probably going up, and it maybe should be a medium high like the state plan instead of a medium. Earthquake, I don't honestly remember all the detail of that conversation.
I think it'd be okay to change those to meet the Virginia ranking.
Yeah.
The tornado, the earthquake, and the landslide, and I'm looking up here on the winter storm of the Virginia ranking, they got it medium high. But in our Medicine and Woolwine area, I'd still like to keep that as high.
Yeah, I agree. And the other comment that we got was that even though flooding and winter storm are both high, we should flip-flop those and put flooding on the top just because people thought it was actually the highest consideration.
Okay, so we'll we'll be making adjustments to these and recirculating it to everyone. So you'll have additional opportunities to provide input. Something else comes up. Okay, so moving into the mitigation strategy section, these are the mitigation goals from the from the 2016 plan. These, as you can see, we have goals with specific objectives listed under each one. They are pretty extensive and detailed. I know Scott and I have talked in the past about going through and consolidating a bit, adding some updates that we think would be useful, and then recirculating it to everyone involved in the plan update to see what they think about the changes and if they want to provide any other updates. So if that sounds okay with you guys, we can do that then. The issue with having a lot of these objectives is they each need to be tied to a specific mitigation alternative or strategy, so it can get pretty extensive, pretty wordy when you have this many. So that was our thought behind consolidating some of this. But does it sound good to you guys if we make some changes and then recirculate it to the larger group for their thoughts?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Sounds good.
The changes will be pretty minor. Like the 9 goals that you have cover pretty much everything. And as long as they do, and we can link any strategy you want back to one of those goals or objectives, then we're covered. And they're general enough, so we're not going to take anything significant away. Or just maybe
Wordsmithing.
Shorten
Yeah.
it to.
Okay. So these objectives and strategies, this is where we'll move to the Excel spreadsheet. Those are listed in there. Okay. Okay. So can everybody see the screen? Hopefully it's big enough.
One thing that I've been doing that you might consider is just hide the category and the hazard rows, and just gives us a little more.
A
Makes it
little
a
more.
bit bigger.
There we go. Yeah.
There we go.
Good call. Oops. Okay. So these are the specific mitigation strategies from the 2016 plan. The ones in blue up top, they are strategies that all the jurisdictions were undertaking, and then when we get to the bottom, they're more 3 in white or specific to Patrick County, and it looks like the yellow ones were proposed amended strategies to be added on. We'll go ahead and start at the top. We're just looking basically for any updates on these strategies if you're still interested in pursuing them. Basically any pertinent comments we can add to them. So the first one, strategy 2.1.1, says investigate providing technical assistance for property owners to implement mitigation measures, such as strengthening building frame connections, elevating appliances, constructing a wind shelter, etc.
I know our building inspector, when he goes out, he tries to iterate on certain things, how to, make it better.
Yeah. One other thing on the strategies so FEMA's pushing this go around that we try to make them like more specific, more measurable, not so focused on just the day-to-day stuff that you already do. So on that one, and I'll probably ask the same question on a few of these. Like, do y'all use social media like Facebook or Twitter or any of that stuff, or is it just the county webpage?
We use the county webpage.
And
Yeah.
as far as emergency management, I do have a Facebook page for that we put stuff out every now and then.
All right. Because and the reason I ask is that like for some of these where it just says like investigate providing assistance, we might change like add these publications or resources, and a link to your Facebook page or something like that, just so it's measurable and has a time frame. I don't know how VDEM and FEMA Region 3 are pushing back on some of these ongoing ones, but some of the other regions are like telling us to remove them, which is annoying to me because it's not their plan, it's yours. But just as a heads up, like some of these we want to make some metrics or, so that we can do that. So
Okay. So the next strategy says in the next update of hazard mitigation plan, include more detailed vulnerability assignments for man-made hazards based on FEMA and VDEM guidance. You said this was delayed due to lack of personnel to handle it. And I know, I think Scott mentioned in the kickoff that, there's limited resources, so it might be more beneficial to focus on some of the natural and non-man-made hazards, just because that's what FEMA tends to look at. Like, it's not bad to include man-made hazards if you feel like it is very pertinent for the region, but it's not something that FEMA demands, and it's often a little bit more beneficial if you agree to focus on some of the natural hazards.
yeah, so as part of this update, we will be
Mhm.
providing some more detail on the vulnerability assessments for man-made hazards. It's like a continuous improvement every 5 years when the plan is updated. So we will sort of be checking this box, but it won't be as robust an analysis as say flooding or dam failure or winter storms. But if there's anything that's changed or um, new vulnerabilities from those hazards, we will be doing that. I think the intent of this one was like they were put in 2006 and they've only been kind of cleaned up every 5 years. And I think the idea is to do a continuous improvement. But as Jade said, with limited resources, you want to focus on the events that hit you more frequently. But all that said, if there's anything specific about, those agri-terrorism, dam failures, spills, and pipeline breaks, if there's things that you wanted to see us look at, please bring it to our attention. All right.
All right, so moving on to the next one, strategy 5.2.1, identify training opportunities for staff to enhance their ability to use GIS for emergency management needs. And it looks like the latest update, you said you have one staff member completed and working with a new staff to get them completed. Any updates on that? That second staff member, they completed the training?
I went through and just about got all of it completed, after we had the last update.
It was just pretty much just used.
As far as being proficient in it, no, I'm not, but I can work my way through it.
So is this one that we want to leave this in there and add like another staff person in the next 5 years, or you want to consider this one done and get rid of it?
Let's just consider this one done.
Okay.
Because I don't know, I don't foresee us getting anyone else.
Okay. Yeah, that's sort of the purpose of this exercise, like identifying the ones that you want to tweak or make different, or if you think it's completed, we can just, there's going to be two tables in the new plan. One is going to show everybody's 2016 strategy and what the disposition is. A lot of them will be carried over into the new 5-year strategy. But ones that, if they don't make sense anymore, or if you know you're never going to get the money and never going to do it, like we can, we can clean them up in the table, explain why we're taking them out of the next 5 years. So that's kind of the purpose of today, is just to get started on that. So that the next meeting we can come back to you with a slightly updated list when we start to work on the new list.
Okay, so strategy 5.2.2, provide training opportunities to local zoning and building code enforcement staff, educate them regarding damage assessment, mitigation techniques, and other related topics. This was listed as in progress. Has any training been done? Is this still something you want to expand upon?
I say let's leave that in there and because I know it's still in the process.
Like Scott mentioned before, we'll probably just have to add some kind of metrics, just so FEMA can see that we have some something specific that we're aiming for. But we can get into more of the details later on. Strategy 5.3.3, coordinate with the state to update and digitize community flood insurance rate maps. Maps are added to our GIS maps on the overlay. And we had mentioned that we're in the discovery process of updating these.
Oh, and I would call underway, and hopefully we can check it off as complete in 5 years.
All right, strategy 6.2.1, distribute information packets to raise awareness regarding the risk present in the West Piedmont region and provide disaster preparedness information. You said we have workshops at Reynolds Homestead for the next few months. So any updates on this? And this is also one that if we wanted to move to more of a social media or digital approach to this, instead of providing hard copy information packets, that might be an easier way to accomplish it. So something to consider there. And we could always combine this with some of the other information dissemination strategies. But as far as the workshops that you did have in progress, were those completed?
I know we had a workshop at Reynolds Homestead towards the summertime, springtime, and I can't remember. And it was getting people prepared for, power outages, major events, how to sustain yourself for days, weeks at a time. And part of the CERT team, the county CERT team got that up and running.
And was that the summer or spring from last year?
Yes.
Okay. And is this still something that you want to pursue, finding other ways to disseminate some of this information to the public?
Yeah, we could leave it in there and do it again. I'm sure that once all this COVID stuff, I said last year. No, it couldn't have been last year. It had to be 2019 because we didn't have masks on. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I was going to ask that question, but I almost assumed it.
No, because I know we didn't have masks on, so it was been 2019.
Yeah.
On that.
Okay. Strategy 6.2.3 says work with local home improvement stores to provide workshops to residents on mitigation techniques. You said this was delayed due to manpower.
Yeah, we just don't have the manpower. I'd like to do workshops like they do at Lowe's Home Improvements, but we don't have a Lowe's Hardware or Home Depot. We just got local owned, and it's just the manpower to be able to do those workshops.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think we can probably just explain that in the disposition column and probably take that one out. My recommendation.
Okay. Strategy 6.4.1, work with local media outlets to increase awareness of natural hazards, implement seasonal hazard awareness weeks or days, such as Hurricane Preparedness Week, Winter Weather Awareness Day. Most recent comment was we work with our local radio to get the information out days and weeks before the event. So it sounds like you've been working with local radio stations to provide alerts, like when you know something is coming for sure. Do you do any, have you been able to do any like proactive?
Yeah, and we also, the county pays for Everbridge software, that if the citizen signs up on it, they will get the alerts as soon as they come out from National Weather. And also we have a local gentleman here that does Patrick County News on Facebook, and he gets that information out also. So it's on social media.
Okay.
Sounds to me like that one should probably just be emphasized in the capability assessment write-up. Instead of being a 5-year strategic thing, it sounds like it's something that you do on an ongoing basis with Everbridge and other means.
Okay. Strategy 6.4.2, work with the Roanoke office of the National Weather Service to promote the Turnaround, Don't Drown public education campaign. And that's where you also said you use Everbridge to get the information out.
Yes.
Okay, so this sounds like this is also a capability.
All right. Are you guys in this storm ready community?
No, the only complaint that we've had so far from the citizens, sometimes these alerts comes out in the middle of the night and it wakes them up. That's the only complaint we've had.
Do you know if you participate in the Weather Service's storm ready? Are you a storm ready designated community?
No, we do not. We've looked into it, but it goes right back to the manpower again.
Yeah.
Sorry for the background noise. If you can hear my puppy making some noises over there. Next one says strategy 1.2, continuing to enforce zoning and building codes and to incorporate hazard mitigation principles into capital improvement plans to prevent and control construction within the floodplain. And you said your building inspector takes care of this. Did you have any other updates that you could provide?
He oversees all that. Yeah, there's no updates on that.
Okay. Scott, does this sound like something that would be more of a capability now?
I think the enforcing the zoning and building codes, FEMA would consider a capability because it's something you do anyways. But I think using the capital improvement plan to try to get funding to do prevention control things we should keep in. These things, folks, just if you disagree, speak up because I'm just I'm just giving my opinion. I'm not the one who lives there and is going to use the plan.
Okay, so strategy 4.1.2, consider providing necessary electrical hookup, wiring, and switches to allow readily accessible connections to emergency generators at key critical public facilities. He said we're looking into getting generators for our local fire departments that we can use for shelters. So I can take some of the comments from above because I know we covered some of this. Is this something you want to keep in to continue trying to add in these generators to critical facilities?
Yes, let's leave those in there.
Okay.
Okay, strategy 6.2.2, encourage purchase of NOAA radios, provide NOAA weather radios to public facilities. You talked about this on the local radio station and their website.
Yeah, we still get that out every so often, you know, especially in the springtime about the NOAA radios.
Do you know if any radios have been provided for the public facilities?
Yeah, got a NOAA radio here. Not not at the admin building. Jerry don't think there's one there. I know there's one at my office.
So the box might just be kind of antenna out, and when there's an alert comes out, it makes it right. I thought there was one in here.
You still need them in the admin buildings now that you have Everbridge? Or is that different enough where it's,
Do you have one at your office? No.
I don't see it. There used to be one in there. It was white, had a silver antenna at the top.
We don't have one.
I just remember one sitting up on the shelf and there had the antennas.
And it may have.
Close to you just wasn't.
With the with the Everbridge software that we've got through the county, as soon as it goes out to NOAA radio, it comes right straight to us on our phones.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think the weather radios they're nice to have for some folks, but they're kind of outdated technology if you have Everbridge. So these next four, they're the final four. The yellow highlighting says proposed amended items. Do you remember when you all proposed these? Because I know some of the counties did an update in 2020. But the
Well, I know
district,
the one there where the iFlows, we have a new iFlow manager, Willie, and he has went around and done upgrades to the iFlows through the county. So he's took care of that for us.
okay.
We lost Jim, and I can't remember his last name. Then when Willie retired from VDM, they picked him up to look over the iFlow. So he's came through and done upgrades. And if he notices that there's something needs cleaning, he'll give me a holler, and I go clean out the tipping bucket or the strainer, either one.
All right.
Okay. This next one, strategy 4.1.1, identify need for backup generators, communications, and/or vehicles at critical public facilities. Develop means to address shortfall identified. So this seems similar to the generator one mentioned above. Said again that you're looking to get it to the local fire. So it sounds like something that can be combined with the one that was very similar above. Okay. And then we have strategy 4.1.5, purchase and install building some more generators, and install connections at all fire departments. Okay.
We was able my office, where is also the paid EMS staff is there, and our EOC, we do have a standalone generator there now.
Okay.
Were you able to get FEMA grants for any of those, or did you just do it on your own?
The county used CARES funds for that.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, so I just flipped to the Stewart tab. Let's see what these are.
Who's grant on it? I think you should just get a grant for it. Okay.
Okay, so these last four strategies looks like they're just specific to Stewart. So these are the last ones we have to go through.
So, sounds to it now, Terry.
Strategy 2.1.2, identify existing disaster-prone structures that may benefit from mitigation measures such as, but not limited to, elevation of flood-proofing techniques.
Terry's gonna move a little bit closer so he can hear better.
Okay. Let me close some of these. Make this a little bit bigger. Okay. So this one was identify existing disaster-prone structures that may benefit from mitigation measures such as, but not limited to, elevation or flood-proofing techniques. Has any progress been made on this one?
No.
Okay. Is this still something you'd like to pursue?
Yes.
Next one, strategy 3.2.3, implement a program to seal and vent or raise sewer system components, such as manhole covers that are located in the 100-year floodplain or other areas identified as highly probable for flooding.
Now, we have done some of those, but we're in the process of trying to complete that. Yes.
So fair to say partially complete, keep in there for the next 5 years?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Strategy 4.1.1, identify need for backup generators, communications and or vehicles at critical public facilities, develop means to address shortfall identified. I know we talked about the Stewart fire rescue. Is this still something you want to pursue for other critical facilities? Stewart?
Yes, we have been talking with the council and so forth on trying to get transfer switches for the water treatment plant and the wastewater treatment plant. And we're working on that. We're trying to get a grant and so forth for that.
So for those, I suggest putting in it, we'll put that in as a specific strategy to get those for the 2 plants. And then even though you're working on it already, then hopefully in 5 years from now, we'll be able to mark it as complete.
Okay.
Okay. And then the last one, strategy 4.1.2, consider providing necessary electrical hookup, wiring, and switches to allow readily accessible connections to emergency generators at key critical public facilities. So this sounds similar to the other one. of, that we're gonna make a specific strategy for the water treatment and wastewater treatment plant. Okay.
As I said before, there'll be, this is just to go through these, so we'll have another meeting in another probably month and a half, 2 months from now to go to brainstorm on anything new, and we'll come with some suggestions. But for now, for today, this is all we wanted to do, is kind of get a good feel for where we're at and everything.
Okay.
All right. So it looks like we covered just about everything we needed to do. So I will compile the notes that I took live on screen and any notes that Scott took, and we'll get those back out to you guys so you can review them. And if you have any other comments there, you can feel free to add them. And we'll also follow up on some of the items such as the GIS data and any other topics that we said we would get back to throughout the meeting.
And one question on you wanting a copy of our EOP. It may be too large to email. How can I get that to you?
We did provide a Microsoft Teams site. I don't know how familiar you are with using that, but you can just stick it in a folder on there, or if any of you have access to it. If you don't, we can talk you through it or give you a link to a Dropbox or some kind of folder to put it in. Just when you're ready to send it, if it's problematic, just reach out to Jade or myself, and we'll find a place for you to put it.
I can go ahead and make sure that everybody here today has access to that, and I can just email, probably as a response to this meeting invite, I can just go ahead and email a link to a folder at the team site where you can just click it and then just drop it right in that box, if that'll be helpful.
Yeah, the team site, we sent access to all the larger mitigation advisory committee meetings, but we can add the people from these local meetings. Some people like it, some people don't. but we're storing all the presentations and all the documents and everything there. So if you need to see anything or we need to share anything, that's a fairly easy way to do it. But if you're one of those people that don't like that type of technology, just let us know. And it's as simple as sending a link that you can just click on and drag it into a folder.
All right, thank you.
Sometimes they work great. Sometimes people don't want to be bothered. So you never know until you get there.
All righty, appreciate it.
Well, thank you all for your time. Glad we can give you some of it back, and we'll definitely be in touch soon. Any other questions, comments, parting thoughts before we call it a close?
We'll be in touch, and thank you all so very much. It was nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, man.